Morning, everyone. Welcome to another Wealth Coffee Chat. Hope your weekend was awesome. It's getting a bit chilly out there. Stay warm. We've got a few of the early birds already on this morning. Hey, Polo, all the way from Perth. Great to have you here. The sun's out over there. Well, it looks like it anyway. Fantastic. Mick, morning, mate. Good to see you. Afshin, morning to you. James is there as well. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us, team. Good to see you. We'll do the quick intros as everything's kind of warming up and getting going. Jason Witten's my name, if you didn't already know. Welcome along. If you're new, let us know. Say hello in the chat. Let us know where you're coming in from. What's these Wealth Coffee Chats all about if you're new? Well, what we're trying to do is work out a little bit of fact from fear, a bit of fact from ignorance. The media isn't a great place to receive one-dimensional information from. So, each day we grab a few snippets from here, there, and everywhere. And in the mornings, you and I, when it comes to property investing and that sort of stuff, get together and have a bit of a yarn, a bit of a chat, a Wealth Coffee Chat, matter of fact, get a cup of coffee, see if we can't make some sense of, some information, some things that are going on out there. So that's the drill. If you're brand new and you're popping by, that's what we're up to here. So welcome along. Fantastic to have you. Let me know where you're dialing in from this morning. Thanks for joining, wherever you are. So I thought this morning we might talk about the idea that, we had a bit of the regional movement in the pandemic. Anyone online this morning? Anyone on the Wealth Coffee Chat? Did anybody move from, let's say, the cities? Any of you guys and girls, ladies and gents, did you move from the cities to the regional during COVID? What did you do? Did you stay put? Let me know in the chat. Did you stay put, hunker down? Did you think the zombie apocalypse was coming and you got out of the city? Or a bit of a combo? What did you do? Because it's an interesting statistic. There was quite a number of people, make for the hills when it came to the idea of moving out of the cities and getting into the regionals, which gave the regional marketplaces a bit of a boost. But what's going on now? That's what we thought we might have a bit of a look at. So let me know in the chat if any of you moved out or you stayed put. Because, during the I reckon, Alison, it's an interesting one. I was chatting with a few people the other day, and there's always a little bit of an in the back of your mind. It'd be kind of cool to in a weird fantasy sense, not necessarily in a reality, but feel like we could pit ourselves against the zombies and do that sort of stuff. Anyway, getting a little distracted, but I'm with you, Alison. I'm with you. But during the COVID, a lot of people said, "That's it. I'm out of here. I'm out of the city." Morning, Brendan. Good to see you, mate. And did that have an effect? Yeah, well, it did. Here's the sort of the COVID impact, and regional cities across Australia received quite a population boom, even though during the pandemic, the country received less immigration, less people from overseas. Well, there was a little population boom. Hey, does anyone know? Not only the regionals had a good time, so the regionals, which are the cities, are the towns around the major cities. Anyone know what those cities were? But let me ask you this question: what state of Australia received a huge amount of population as well. We had a look at this the other day, actually. About 50,000 people net influx over the 3 years. Not only did, let's say here, let's call that sort of 20,000 to 50,000. So, I don't know, 35,000 people to the regionals. Yeah, Brisbane. Yeah, Southeast Queensland. That's right. SEQ received a net influx of 50,000 people as well. And where did they come from, folks? Well, they fled majority from Sydney and Melbourne. Okay. That's the majority of the places. Large cities. People left the large cities and went to, somewhere where maybe they could, buy a better priced property, have a bit more space around them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Where are the regionals anyway? Well, let's have a look at this. If we look into when the market talks about regional locations, and here's a few little stats about, what's going on, change in vacancy, change in home prices. The Southern Highlands, very close to Sydney. You got Richmond Tweed, which is very close, like the Gold Coast, Byron Bay, that was very popular. Places like Hobart are actually considered regional in the sense of how the immigration policy is. The immigration. I'm having a mental blank now. The visas. There you go. Not enough bloody coffee this morning. How the visas work, folks. Interestingly enough, like places like, Gold Coast and smaller cities are considered regional markets. Newcastle, Sunshine Coast, Central Coast, Illawarra, Geelong, Ballarat. Gold Coast is considered regional. Shepparton, Bendigo, etc. All right, so these are considered regional markets when it comes to these population movements. Now, when we're thinking of regionals, you're thinking, all right, outback nowhere, right? You're going to a town that's got 3 people in it and, it's a population boom. Well, no, the regionals are very close to the cities, the major cities. So, when we're looking at these stats, again, this is the conversation we have often. Check out the info. Where's it coming from? And what's the data? So, it's not such a big deal to move from Melbourne to, let's say, Geelong, is it? If that was the case, all right? So, there you go. So, all right, a lot of people moved out. What's going on now? Well, if you have a look around the country, folks, the moving out, the vacancy rates in the regionals went down at that point in time. So, we kind of got the shock here and lockdowns and so on. And, technically sort of the vacancy rates in some of the cities went up. Okay. Now this is like statistics of the whole country. So there would be certainly, nuances in this conversation, folks, right? Because, obviously, what was the most lockdown city in the world? What city vacancy rates exploded during the first part of the lockdown, folks? Put that in the chat for me right now, and I'll pull this up as well. Because let's have a look at this. When the lockdowns happened, there was spikes. Anyone know that the percentage of a couple of Melbourne, Jared, exactly. Have a guess. The percentage of vacancy that Melbourne CBD got to, folks. Melbourne CBD, and just check. Let's check out. Sydney CBD as well. Melbourne and Sydney, the two places that really overcompensated or over-statistized. I don't know. Is that right? Is that an accurate word? They exaggerated, overinflated our vacancy rate numbers across the country. And what do you reckon? Percentage-wise, put it in the chat. Melbourne and Sydney CBD vacancy rate. what do you think it got to from a percentage wise when this happened? All right, let's do a little survey, because not a lot of people sort of understood this, and so did Brisbane and other places as well. Let's have a look at those stats, because where people moved from the cities and to the countries, the population vacancy rates in the capital cities went up. We didn't get our students in. We didn't get people working in the city. They wanted to be out of the city, etc. And those vacancy rates spiked in those places. Well, let's have a bit of a look at this. I'll whack that up there. There we go. Check that out, team, folks. Look at that. As we were going along, Melbourne CBD vacancy went from early 2019 around about, a modest kind of 3% traveling for, since 2015. And then it went spiked up here, like to 12.5%. Okay. And this is, and now back down, pretty significant numbers down low now. Let's go and have a look at Sydney. Woo, look at that. Sydney went up as well, like huge, like boom, all the way up, of a peak of 16%. And you can check out this website, Brisbane CBD as well. Again, folks, we all know, you guys know, I say this all the time. We're not buying in the CBD as investors. You're not buying in 000 postcodes, because that's not a great place for lending. It's not a great place for value, all sorts of reasons. The banks and the lenders dislike 000 postcodes. However, that is where density, high density is in the cities and those 000 postcodes. Many apartments, and you can see an exaggeration of vacancy rates in those places. Okay. So what's the point? The point is this, folks. As those vacancy rates went up, the regionals went down, but over time, the city vacancy rates went down, and the regionals went flat and have started to go up. So the question is this: are people coming back to the cities? Are people saying, all right, well, that's it, I'm done out in the country? And it seems to be that way. So not only are we getting a population boom from overseas, a lot of people are coming back. These localized individuals are coming back, or less people are moving to the regionals, right? We don't know the exact numbers just yet, but early indicators say that, this might be the case, all right? So the number of inquiries per rental in the city regions has increased, and the number of inquiries in the regional regions has decreased, right? The number of listings stayed flat and low, and is just starting to kick up, and the metro, the city, is going down. Lots of population moving into these places, folks, as you know. Well, unless you've been living under a rock, we've got tens, hundreds of thousands of new migrants moving in, students coming back to Australia, driving this stuff for us. So what's the question here? What's the question is, what will this do as property investors? We all know this. It's kind of I feel like I'm sort of repeating myself, a broken record here, team. But, again, no matter which way you look at, slice or dice this apple that we're having a chew on here, the property investing gig, all this shows to me is if more people are coming back to the cities, the rents will continue to increase. And at some point, the values also will increase, because the only thing holding those values back right now is the interest rate. All right, the interest rate. If it goes down or goes flat, we thought we'd seen the last of it, but the government chucked more money at the economy and decided they'd have inflationary policies because they wanted to play popular politics. Anyway, there you go. And the RBA its only move was to, its only move it's got is to put the interest rates up to keep inflation under wraps. But anyway, there you go. What's the point? The point is the regionals are now full and maybe even reversing, accelerating, or making even worse the challenges we're seeing in the cities. Again, not only do we have it from immigration or our migration, but we're also getting it. So it's immigration from overseas, migration internally. I think that's the right way around. So we've got internal migration looking pretty strong, and Queensland, folks, is one of the winners internally. Anyway, if people go back to the cities, they might be moving to southeast Queensland by the look of it. Anyway, there you go. That makes sense. Thought that would be worth having a bit of a chat about this morning and putting that in context as well. Trying to find the kinks in the armor here when it comes to property investing. The number one challenge that most property investors are facing right now is the cost of our interest. And over time, our rents are going to go up. That's really the gist of our conversation today. All right, folks. Well, that's it this morning. Just a simple one. Nothing too fancy. Thanks for joining me today. Great to have you on this morning. Join me for another one tomorrow if you want to. Try and do this every morning at around about 10 past 8. If you're up for it, make sure you jump online. I go live then. And if you've got something that you see out there in the world when it comes to property investing, let me know that you might want me to have a bit of a pontification on, a bit of a a bit of a comment on with a coffee in the morning. Let's share the love and leave me a comment. Always good to get that feedback from you who are listening in. All right, folks. Well, that's about it. I'm done. I'm dusted. You guys be awesome. Be well. Remember, we've got a bit of a saying around here. This thing's a marathon, not a sprint. It's going to take time to build that property portfolio that you want. Don't be in a rush, but don't hang around too long either. Bit of a balance. All right. All right, folks. You guys take care. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.